Every action tells a story. Let's start there. So, we're going to be talking about narratives. Narrative is a story, right? A story that is told by someone. So, let's go back to the original statement. Every action tells a story. So, because we know that every action tells a story, it's important that we are careful about the stories that we're telling. And so what that means is it's important that we are careful of what we do because every action tells a story. So before starting, if this message resonates with you, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. This message came to me as I was posting different things on this YouTube channel. I began seeing patterns in terms of what videos and certain things that seem to catch certain attention. And I've also noticed that other creators have mentioned the same thing or may have mentioned something similar to what is being spoken here. A lot of times I've noticed that the stories that oftentimes catch the most attention are stories regarding drama, are stories regarding trials and tribulations that sometimes people are experiencing, and sometimes it's just a matter of what catches people's attention. And as I was just looking at the trends in terms of the stories that are popularized, whether it's on, this channel or others, a lot of times what you notice is that what's often popularized are it's telling a narrative. And the message that came to mind was to be cautious of the stories that you tell, because oftentimes what you are doing, your actions are actually telling a story about you. So the question is then, what is your narrative? What is the story you're trying to tell? And more importantly, what are the stories that are being told about you? Not that it's more important, and I should say it's also important. So in choosing what we tell, in choosing our actions, it's important that we choose wisely. Especially as content creators, what I've noticed is that there's certain stories, certain narratives that are portrayed by certain individuals, while other narratives are portrayed also by some. And it's important that we tell the stories that we want to tell. It's important that we want to tell the stories, or we tell the stories that empower us, that show us in a light that we choose, and not necessarily in a way that someone else chooses to portray us. And what I've often noticed is that the narratives that are portrayed, especially regarding melanated people of African descent, is one such of drama. It's one such of less than. It's one such of it's a more demeaning kind of message that that's often portrayed. And stories regarding magic, stories regarding power, stories regarding life are oftentimes not necessarily attributed to that particular group. And so, what is the point of this message? So, you may have noticed that a lot of the images that are on the stories I portray, the stories that are put on the channel, they depict people of color, melanated people, in a very powerful light, because oftentimes that is not something that you see. And it's not necessarily done specifically for that reason. And I have gotten some questions regarding why it is those images are chosen. And not that I feel the need to explain why they're picked. It's more so that this actually goes along with the message, with this message. Tell the story that you choose to tell, and not the story that someone chooses for you. Regardless of the status quo, regardless of the general ideas, and a lot of times, we have ideas that we may see as far-fetched or weird, and we're kind of concerned or afraid to show what it is that we see or how we see things, because we may perceive that it's weird. And believe it or not, sometimes it appears as if it's weird because you've been listening to a different type of narrative that is influencing your narrative. And it's important to tell your narrative. Your actions are what tells your narrative. What you do tells your narrative. If and when you see images of power, this is your narrative. If you see images or you tell stories of magic, this is your narrative. This is your story. And this is why it's important to tell your story. It's important to speak your truth, because your truth is your power. It is your narrative. And the more that you are true to yourself in telling your story, you're also going to allow others to uncover truths a lot of times that have been hidden. And a lot of times those truths are hidden for a reason. The stories that are told for a very specific reason, because it is meant to uphold a certain image. It's meant to uphold a certain agenda. It's meant to uphold certain ways of doing things and seeing things. So this is for some of you who may have those ideas that seem very quirky, that seem far-fetched, that may seem even weird. You have these images in your mind and you're not sure where they're coming from, these ideas. And I'm going to say this, if you are someone who walk with the divine, they are divinely inspired. They come from somewhere, someplace that most have yet to uncover. And by the fact that you're going to tell your story, it's going to allow someone else to tap into something that you've already tapped into. So that idea, that image that you may believe or you may think is weird, it's not so weird. It's not so far-fetched. This is your truth that you get to speak, and you get to speak it in your way that tells your story. And this is your narrative. And by the mere fact that you actually put that energy out there, you are embracing a power that is also going to help someone else embrace theirs. So continue to listen and be truthful to self. Listen and be truthful to that energy that is within, that energy that is your higher self. And that is the message. If this message resonates, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.